Across the Park podcast is proud to be sponsored by Globe Gas and Heating. For the best kitchen and bathroom renovations, boiler servicing and repair, and central and underfloor heating in the Northwest, head over to globecentralheating.com and quote Across the Park for a free quote. Hello and welcome back to Across the Park podcast. Thank you so much for clicking that thumbnail and checking us out. My name is Ian Mills. Is life better when Everton win, or is life better when Everton win? We are back in the amazing Pod Cafe studios. My partner in crime, Judgy, is not going to be with us for a couple of weeks. That man has gone and got himself a promotion in the real world. So congratulations to Judgy. His absence allows me to open my phone book and ask some amazing people to come on the show in his absence. And one of my favourite persons I've met since doing this podcast has kindly agreed to come back on today. Her surname is Everton royalty, my friend Mel Harvey. Mel, thanks for coming back on. How are you?
I'm still a bit tired, if I'm being honest, from
big
Saturday.
Journey?
Yeah, it was a long day. Long day, big journey, great results. So it was an early start. It was funny driving along County Road, 27 in the morning to get on the bus, and it was chocker with people with carry-outs finding their way onto the buses for the big journey. But yeah, it was good. We got there quite early. So
Yeah.
time for a little walk around, historic grounds.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant day.
You sounded, and I say you as in the away end, loud. You're a much better Evertonian than me because you go to the away games. I don't really go to the away games much anymore, but did it feel loud? Did it feel like a good day out?
Yeah, it did feel loud. I didn't have much voice left when I woke up on Sunday morning. But isn't it nice when you're being loud because you're celebrating rather than being loud because you're trying to push them along to get over the line? So, yeah, it was loud. It was lively. It was good-natured. It was great. It was a lovely place, actually. They were really, really nice.
Yeah.
All the Ipswich fans we met, the staff, the stewards. Yeah, it was good. Really enjoyed it. Fear we won't be going back next season, so I'm really glad we went.
Yeah, I watched it, and we'll get into the Ipswich game in a bit more detail. I'm with you. I don't think Ipswich are going to be here unless something drastic happens in maybe January for them. It did look like there was levels now between. It happened last year when Luton, Sheffield United, and Burnley came up. It seems to me now that there's levels between Premier League and the Championship. Yeah,
they didn't look great. I don't think they strengthened particularly well over the summer. They didn't really look great. It's a shame because it was a really, really good day out, and as I say, lovely people. We met some really nice people. We went to meet the Ipswich Fan Support and Food Banks,
of course, yeah.
gang, and they were great. So, yeah, but unfortunately, I'd be astonished. They need to sign a couple of absolute superstars in January, and I don't think they're in the market for that. So, sadly, I think that might be. You picked
a nice one to attend.
Yeah, it was a great day.
We're going to get into the Ipswich game. I opened up our Instagram for social media questions for you, and we're going to get to them. You know what the first question has to be. They want to know your legendary father, Mr. Mel Harvey. How is he?
He's great. So while I was on a bus to Ipswich, he was on his way to Manchester to watch my niece because she plays for Manchester United. Sorry. So he was over there on Saturday watching her. And to be honest, that's how he spends most of his Saturdays now, watching her play or watching my two nephews play.
Still loving his football.
Certainly gets a lot of pleasure out of watching them play. And it's a little bit easier than making your way down Goodison Road and getting up all those stairs into a seat. So that tends to be what the football he watches live at the moment. But he's great. He's like everyone else from his era. He's crippled with arthritis and in a lot of pain. But they wouldn't change that for the world. They gave everything during their careers, and yeah, they are physically paying the price for it, but they wouldn't change anything. So he's good.
Good. Great to hear. Anybody who's not familiar with our podcast or is just checking us out now, we've done an audio interview with Melanie and his dad Colin, which is in the archives on Apple Music and Spotify. 2.5 hours we were in Casa Harvey for, and it was unbelievable. I was pinching myself during it. So go and check that out. It's great to hear that Mr. Harvey's doing well and enjoying his football still. Michael Keane played that man up front.
There's a few people who always agree with you. He took it well, didn't he? I mean, when he went to hit it at the time, I was thinking, oh God. But what a strike, what a goal. Well deserved, great performance. Couple of decent performances. But yeah, he can certainly hit a ball when he gets the opportunity. There was some great play by McNeil to get the ball into him. But yeah, he hit it really sweetly, didn't he?
He's had his critics on this podcast, on social media, in terraces. For me, it was really great to hear none of that on Saturday. He was getting serenaded at the end and stuff, and that can only be nice for him, can't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, football's a confidence game, isn't it? And as much as we like to think that these people are machines and they go out and then they do certain things every week, confidence plays a huge part of football. And I think he's being quite honest about that. Is he the best player who'll ever pull on an Everton shirt? No, he's not. You know, you say he's had his critics. I've been one of them.
Yeah.
But you have to give credit where it's due. He played well on Saturday. He scored a brilliant goal. And yeah, we were all singing Keno, Keno. So yeah, what can I say? Good for him.
There was a great article in The Athletic by Paddy Boylan, friend of the show, and he touched upon that today, saying it's great to see, and it can only be great for Michael Keane. Now, I talked about when Jared Branthwaite came back into the last home game and the crowd roared his arrival and his name, and Rossi gave the big Michael buffer to him. Michael Keane's sitting there watching that, so I think it's fair for us to say that, you know, Keane's come in, done nothing wrong, and it's fair that me and you, who have been critics of him, and others can give him praise when he does well, because I don't think he's been our worst centre-half this season.
No, he certainly hasn't, but I think when you're a professional footballer and you get paid a lot of money to perform every week, and then you've got a crowd who pay a lot of money to watch you, then if you are not performing, then you have to accept the fact you will be criticised.
Yes.
That's part of the game, and you know, players should have the resilience to deal with that. Should it get super personal? No. I mean, it certainly oversteps the mark from time to time, but you should be big enough to accept criticism if you don't play well. He clearly has. He's clearly been working hard. The manager believes in him. And he's come in and he's done a really, really good job when he's been asked to do that, and that, as he should.
We have got a question about Michael Keane from one of our listeners on Instagram, so we'll veer away from that. I want to talk about the other end of the pitch. We have a number 9 who is struggling to score goals. He's being put clean through at times and he's not hitting the net. But his other areas of the game are just invaluable. How did you assess Dominic Calvert-Lewin's performance on Saturday?
Exactly like that. I thought at the time, and then I rewatched it obviously on Sunday morning on Match of the Day, because even though we were still on last, I still didn't get home in time to see it on Saturday night. And exactly that. Some of his hold-up play was great, really strong in that area, but that chance early on, when he just should have hit it first time, and I think he'll know that. You talk about confidence. Confidence is particularly a big thing with strikers. I would say that Dominic Calvert-Lewin under Ancelotti would have scored that goal. Yeah. And it's a shame. I was thinking back to the last time we spoke, and we spoke about him a lot, and he'd come back from injury, and I'd made a very bold claim about it was like signing a very expensive player. I can't remember the figure that I put on it because of his play off the ball as well. Yeah. And unfortunately, he's really having trouble scoring, isn't he? And nobody wanted him to score that goal more than me on Saturday. I was gutted because it would have been nice to have been 1-0 up earlier on in the game, but gutted for him. I really want it to work for him. I really want him to score goals. But I think if he gets a couple, I always say that about him, if he gets a couple, you feel like he'll go on a run. But he's being asked to play, you know, he's playing kind of up front on his own. I know McNeil's just behind him. And it's quite hard. If you're the one who's holding the ball up and having to get into wide positions to do something with it, you can't then be the one who's in the 6-yard box. You can't be in two places at one time. So Ancelotti told him to stick between the posts, didn't he? Yeah. That was a very clear mandate. So he is playing a kind of a different role, but yeah, I just want him to score so much.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I think the way we set up and the way we now have Ndiaye and McNeil playing, it requires an athletic striker to create space. But when you get those chances,
absolutely, yeah. And that was a gilt-edged chance, and I don't think I don't think he needs us to tell him that he should have scored.
Yeah,
I'm sure he was having nightmares about that. Saturday night.
What's your opinion on his contract ticking down? And the noises I've heard, now I am not in the know, the noises I've heard is it's very unlikely he's going to stay.
I'm not in the know either. As an asset to the club, his value decreases all the time, doesn't it? When he's not scoring. For him personally, I can understand why any player would want to play in Europe and play in teams who are winning trophies. It's a short career. You know, isn't it great when you've got loyal players like Leighton Baines and Coleman, and we love them for it. By the same token, I still understand why Wayne Rooney left and why other players leave.
Yes.
I get that. It's a really, really short career. They can still become millionaires playing for Everton. It's not really a money thing, is it? It's a wanting to play in Europe and wanting to win trophies thing. But now, is a team that's playing in Europe and winning trophies going to sign someone who isn't really scoring?
That's a good point. You mentioned Wayne Rooney there and a couple of others. You could maybe put Ross Barkley in there. They went to teams who were in Europe who were probably going to put trophies on the board.
Yeah.
Are those clubs in for Dominic Calvert-Lewin? And this is his last big deal.
Not when he misses chances like that, they're not. And he'll know that as well. It's complicated, isn't it? But you're not going to go to the top teams as a striker if you're not scoring 15, 20 goals a season, and he's not.
It's going to be interesting in January.
It's going to be really interesting.
He can sign pre-contracts with teams abroad. Does a Premier League team roll the dice and offer Everton £12 million? It's going to be interesting with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Back to Saturday. I was impressed with them all. I just thought everybody had a good game. I don't think anybody... I think maybe Jack Harrison was quiet, Michalenko was quiet, but they were still good. They still done their job. I thought our shape was good. What I take from the game, and I'll ask you for your opinion on this, is I just think we were a very experienced Premier League team doing a good job against an inexperienced team, and sometimes that doesn't happen.
I wouldn't disagree with any of that. I think they're the games that we have to win. They're the games we should be winning 2-0. I thought getting a clean sheet was really, really important on Saturday. That was my biggest fear. I was just like, please, just get a clean sheet because it builds confidence in those defenders. I thought Michalenko was decent, actually.
Okay.
I really thought he was decent. I'm like you, I thought everyone played well. They're not a great side, so let's not get carried away.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But still, take the positives, take the confidence that it brings. Everyone played well. You're right. I thought probably the one you would single out to say was probably the weakest of the whole team was Jack Harrison, but he didn't have a bad game.
No, it did not.
But again, against that opposition, I would be expecting him to shine possibly a little bit more. You know, he was a very, very good champ. They've come up from the Championship. I would describe him as a very decent Championship player. And, you know, they're the teams that somebody like him should really be taking apart a little bit more. So, yeah, he probably was the one that you would say. But no, it was a really, really good performance. It was professional. There was a bit of flair shown. The midfield was better than it has been at times this season. I mean, there's been times when you've just gone, I don't even think we've got a midfield. Decore was much better.
Yeah, he had lots of legs about him, didn't he?
Yeah, he was good, he was powerful, he was aggressive, which is really important. Again, when you play in a team like that, with the naivety, as you say, they've not long been promoted, it's get in there early and let them know what you're all about, which he did. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good performance in a game that we should be expecting to win at least 2-0.
I want to talk about the weekend coming up. We've got another big game. But before we move on, is there anything else from Ipswich that you maybe thought that you want to talk about on the drive here? I'm thinking maybe our new number 10 is standing out. He looks really good. He
looks great, doesn't he? I saw a lovely Instagram post by his wife as well, which was nice. He seems to be, he's buying into the enthusiasm of the fans. He's feeding off that, with this.
Yes.
I like it. If he's doing enough to justify it, I like it.
Confidence player,
Yeah, I like him. He seems to get it. He does seem to be feeding off the fans. So that's a nice relationship that's building up there. You know, we had a really good relationship with Richarlison, and I feel like since he's gone, there's not really been a player that the fans have really taken to the hearts in the same way. And I think it would be really nice if it was him. There's something about him. He's got a lovely personality. And he's definitely got something about him. You know, he's quick, he's clever. There's a few tricks in there. So I enjoyed his performance on Saturday a lot, and I enjoyed that he came right over, and I liked the way he looked and the way he was feeding off the enthusiasm of the fans. I liked that relationship. So here's hoping that continues for a long time.
We'll talk a little bit more about him later because we've got another social media question which I want to put to you about him. There's not many of these left games under the lights at Goodison Park. This Saturday is 5:30 kickoff. We're unfortunately at the time of the year, that means it's going to be dark, but Goodison Park, you're looking forward to a game under the lights at Goodison this weekend?
Yeah, there's nothing better, is there, than a game under the lights. I mean, 5:30, I'm always a bit like, it's not really a nighttime kickoff, but you know, by the time we get going and definitely in the second half, it'll be a proper game under the lights, won't it? There's something quite nice about it, isn't there? If it's a bit chilly and the atmosphere, it does always seem to bring a slightly more exciting atmosphere. Yeah, I don't think the whole leaving of Goodison sunk in with me yet. I've got to be honest. I inadvertently found myself driving through West Derby a couple of weeks ago, and I realised I was at the bottom of the road, the turn into Belfield. So I had a little drive up and a little drive around the housing estate there, and it made me feel very sad and very nostalgic.
Are the names in the closest names after?
Yeah,
players,
and I just suddenly went, oh God, it hadn't really sunk in with me, and that made it sink in a little bit. There was a lot of memories flashing through my mind, and I suddenly thought, oh no, this is how I'm feeling now. So yeah, let's cherish it. Let's make it special. And please, can the team make it special as well? It's not all down to us fans, is it?
I'm with you a little bit there because I feel like we played Roma in pre-season, and it's the last ever friendly at Goodison Park. So that had a bit of a thing about it. First game of the season against Brighton. That's the last ever first game of the season. But I've sort of been a little bit complacent on the last few. I've not really I'm not leaving the grounds yet. Thinking this is the last season. It doesn't feel like yet.
No, me either. And I've got to be honest, I'm kind of ready to leave in the sense that it's so unfit for purpose.
Yes, that's fair.
So, you know, the days you stood in a massive queue because the turnstiles aren't working properly and it's pouring with rain, and then you get in and you're queuing for ages to get something to eat, and it's, you know, or you're queuing for ages for the toilets because there's only, you know, so few women's toilet cubicles, and you're crushed, and you're thinking, oh, this ground really isn't fit for purpose anymore. And from that point of view, I am ready for a change because, as you say, you go to away games, there's so many new grounds now that you visit, and you're thinking, this is really nice, and it's a much nicer experience. It's a much better facility, you know, for the money that you pay in, for what you get. And obviously should all be all about what's on the pitch. I unfortunately sit in the main stand, so I've got loads of posts in my way. So as a football ground, it's not fit for purpose. But as Goodison Park, our historic home, all those memories, going with my granddads, being there with my late sister, you know, all the great matches that we were really privileged to see in the 80s, the memories that we've got of that. Yeah, that's going to be tough. But I really don't think it's dawning on me yet.
No, I think once we ramp into Easter,
and
then you go, oh my God, there's 2 left, there's 3 left. I think that point it'll be a little bit. They'll be attending every game. They'll be leaving the wives and husbands' plans to really go, no, I'm picking Everton this weekend. I think we'll get there. Not quite there yet. It's funny to say about the facilities there. I had a little bit of a dream that I wanted to put my little lad in every stand at Goodison before it goes, and I've been fortunate enough to do. I had the paddock left, and we had Southampton in the League Cup. So I moved us to the paddock, and we used the Bullens facilities. Wow. I don't know how it even gets hot water in there. I've never seen. I sit in the Park End, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
When you actually see it, I think you're right. It's becoming not fit.
No, it's not fit for purpose. Yeah. No, I mean, it isn't fit for purpose. The area where we sit, the sort of concourse, to give it a very fancy name, it really isn't. I mean, it's tiny. It's really crushed. It's really uncomfortable. It's really quite unpleasant at times. Yeah. So it's not fit for purpose. So from that point of view, it really is time to move. It's just a shame that it's come to this, and no one had the vision or the money to do something with the ground, you know, a couple of decades ago. And we've never been, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be knocking people's houses down and forcing people to move house, but it is sad, but it's not fit for purpose. And I think, as much as we go to watch the match, and that ultimately should be the most important thing, if you want to take your kids and things, and it's really can be quite unpleasant at times in some of the facilities, then it will be good to have some nice facilities. No, look, got to be honest.
Me and you kind of have to do a show at Goodison Park with us. It was last summer, so we had two seasons, and anyone who hasn't seen that, please go on YouTube and check it out. It's a fantastic show where Mel talks about the memories at Goodison Park. And I think one thing we didn't have at that point really is we didn't have the big Independence Day spaceship, what it looks like when you're coming from, Vauxhall way. So I couldn't ask you the question then, but I can ask you it now. Now you see what that looks like, that being Bramley Moor. Do you think the leaving Goodison will become easier? Now you can see where we're going. It just looks unbelievable. I purposely drove past it today to look at it.
I drive past it a lot purposefully, actually. Quite often take a diversion. I take diversions to drive past Goodison as well. So, it looks amazing, doesn't it? I've not been inside it yet. I'm very jealous of people who have, but it does look amazing. It's on the river, so that makes it so iconic. And I can't understand people who are saying, "Oh, it's really generic." It's not. It's not finished. Let's let it be finished, and let's just really, hopefully, make some good memories there. Let's not move into it and have 20 years of mediocrity. Let's move into it and get back to winning ways and make it a place that's creating memories for your kids and for all the kids who are going now. Let them have their memories in a great place. And, no one's ever going to forget Goodison Park. There's been great things happening there. But as football fans, what should matter to us most is winning. So let's make some new memories in a fantastic stadium, which I think, given where it is and some of the thought that's gone into the design and some of the thought that's gone into even the design on the sort of on the outside of it, where the fan park's going to be, keeping that wall, etc., it's going to be iconic, isn't it? And
one of the corporate facilities is named after your father. I'm sure the club will get you in there for a complimentary prosecco before it opens.
We, my cousin and I have actually already purchased our season tickets in there. Yeah.
How could you not?
Well, how could we not? And then people said to us, "Oh, it's not the best stand," and I'm like,
"No.
How could you not? How could you not want to have your seat in there?" So yeah, we got our season tickets for in there last summer. So yeah, we've shamelessly become part of the corporate machine. Can I just say it's the cheapest hospitality available in the whole grounds. But one of the main reasons that I've done it, well, partly because of what it is, that goes without saying, but also it means that I'm getting a seat kind of near the centre circle. Yeah. It's going to be a great view. I'm not getting any younger. If that's going to be my seat for life, I quite like something that's easy to get to. And if my family history of arthritis is anything to go by, I'm going to be hobbling in and out of there in another 20 years. So there's a lot of reasons why we picked to sit there. They could end up changing the name in my lifetime. Who knows? If anyone else comes along who can challenge their legacy. I
will put my name on there. That ain't gonna happen. There's no three players can do what the Holy Trinity done for this football club. What's happening with the statue? Is it going to stay at Goodison, or are they going to try and relocate it?
I read about 10 days ago that it's staying where it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I read that. Well, somebody got in touch with me to say that they'd read it. So there's pluses and minuses to that, isn't it? It's nice that it's staying at the birth, at Goodison Park.
Where they played, yeah.
It's good that I know when it got unveiled, he said, I'm facing the road where I lived as a very small child. So that's nice.
Lovely.
That's where I used to meet my dad after the match. When he came, that's where he used to meet his dad after the match. Him and my uncle used to come out of the boys' pen, and my granddad was somewhere else, and they used to meet up quite nearby. I think there was a pawnbrokers, and they used to meet up quite nearby that. So from all those points of view, it's nice that it's staying in that historic space. The slightly worrying thing is that you don't want the legacy to disappear. Mm-hmm. But if the Trinity Lounge remains and becomes a pivotal part of the new ground, then that legacy will continue. All I ever care about is protecting and promoting their legacy.
Yeah.
And ensuring that for as many years as possible, people realise what they gave to the club, what they gave to the fans, the joy that they brought people and the sacrifices they made for it. So as long as that is remembered in the new ground, then you can't argue really then, can you?
I've said this many times on this show. there are people at that football club who know what they're doing. And the fact that that was one of the first things that they've done, it says to me that there's an eye on, we have to pay tribute and we have to bring the legacy with us. And that's a really, really good point. Back to on the pitch, I think winning at Ipswich takes the pressure off the game against Fulham. I think if we hadn't have won, we would have been going into this going, Everton probably have to win this game. Now, I'm not saying I'll be happy with the draw. I want Everton to go and win. But do you think the win against Ipswich takes the pressure off, or would you like to see Everton really get into get up a gear here and keep it going?
Absolutely the latter. I think they really need to build on what happened on Saturday. As I said, Ipswich are not a great team, so let's not get carried away. However, really good individual performances, really good team performance. Let's build a bit of momentum now. There's no reason why we shouldn't win on Saturday.
No, it'd be bouncing if we do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think let's just try and put a run together. There's a little bit of an unbeaten run.
4 now,
yeah. So let's make it 5. Let's have a win. Ideally, let's keep another clean sheet. And no, it shouldn't be seen as, we had a great away win. That's fine. That'll keep us going for this month. No, we need to take that into Saturday. Definitely take that confidence forward. Take a few of the things that were going well, build on them this week, hopefully. And take it into the game on Saturday.
Yeah, and December looks tough.
December's really tough. Yeah, no, December's really tough. So that's why these games matter. We came out the grounds and I was with my friend Dave Kelly and we were walking back to the bus and I said to him, they're the games we should be winning. And he said, they're the games they should be winning too. If they want to stay up, we should have been one of the ones they'd be looking to win. So they are the games we should be winning. If you win all those games against the people who are around and about the bottom, then you're fine, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then let's build from there.
Every time I have you on, where the club are in just chaos, so it's nice to have you on in a nice moment at that end. And by that I mean, my personal opinion is, I was so ready for Farhad Moshiri to sell up. I wasn't ready for 777. I was terrified, but it feels to me that the Friedkin Group may not be the perfect owners, but I think we'll be quite safe with them. Are you feeling comfortable with the position at the minute where it looks likely that the Friedkin Group will take over?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't a perfect owner, is there? What's a perfect owner? You get loads of money, well, you're not allowed to spend it anyway because of the rules.
Yeah.
You get an owner with loads of money, but they've got really questionable morals. I mean, personally, I would find it really difficult to go to. I would still go to the match if we had Saudi owners, but I would hate it. I would find it really, really difficult.
Yeah, difficult.
So there isn't a perfect owner, is there? What we need is, we need stability, we need investment, but we need investment done in the right way. We don't need wild, crazy buying players that, you're not going to get any decent return on. We need sensible planning for the future. We really need that off the field stuff to be done properly. I mean, look what's happened in the last couple of seasons. I mean, it's just been an absolute disaster. And we really need somebody who takes seriously the brands, the history, Everton Football Club, pays respect to the fans and pays respect to the history and also the asset. What an amazing asset. Imagine messing that up. I can't believe how anyone could mess that up.
Don't tempt fate, please. So, if there's one football club.
I know. So we've just got to hope. They seem to have a reasonable track record. I'm not counting any chickens. I'm really hopeful. I hope we're not going to be let down again.
Yeah, I'm just of the opinion that I think if we go into... I think we'll be okay this season. My personal opinion is I can probably see a handshake with the manager and we move in a different direction. I can foresee that and I'm okay with that. So in that event, I'm looking at the first game of next season as a brand new era. And I just feel more comfortable with new owners, if you get that.
It's interesting, isn't it, that we're going to move into a new stadium and have a new ownership in place all around about the same time. Yes. It really puts a line in the sand. If we were moving into Bramley-Moore Dock without a new owner, we would have been feeling very, very nervous. So it's interesting that the two things are coming together at the same time. It feels like the stars are aligning a little bit. I'm not really a mystical person, but it does feel like a bit of a moment. And I'm hopeful. I am a bit of a glass half full type of person.
Okay.
I think most Evertonians are. But I am hopeful. And, oh God, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if everything just kind of slotted together and we as the fans got what we deserve?
Yeah. I just don't want to worry about... I don't want to know who the accountant is.
Couldn't care
I
less.
don't want to know
Just do it properly.
who the chief exec is, really,
Couldn't
as long
care
as we're
less.
safe.
Do it properly.
Yeah.
Funny, someone, when you talk about like getting new managers and things, and people say to me, well, if you don't want them, who would you get? And my answer is always the same. It's like, that's not my job.
Yeah.
There are people who are paid millions of pounds to scour the world for the best players, to scour the world for the best coaches. That is someone else's job. I'm a fan. I want to pay my money and turn up and be entertained and have a lovely day out and feel happy and not have sleepless nights.
Yeah.
That's all I ask for.
My little boy was singing "Corrupt as Ducks" last season because I had to explain, and that's a horrible conversation to have. That why are we chanting about something
awful.
that you're not viewing? It's not a player. It's not a team.
No.
So let's take that away.
Kids shouldn't be having to worry about that. Kids shouldn't be having to go into school on a Monday with their mates slagging them off because the club might go bust. It should all be about the football.
To explain to a 6-year-old why there's an asterisk next to his team on the league table that's not football.
It should all be about the football.
Yeah, let's get back to that. Let's get back to it. And Bramley Moore with a new era and a couple of new players and just a feel-good factor.
Yeah, totally.
I think that helps the leaving of Goodison. Let's just get there. I opened up our Instagram, Mel, for a bit of a social media Q&A for yourself. So I've picked a few. We'll rotate between you, the team, and we've got a guy called Manny. This is on Twitter. Every time I say we've got a guest on, he asks the same question. On your breakfast, this is a very personal question. We get very personal here on the Across the Park podcast. On your breakfast, do you put red sauce or brown sauce?
Oh, always red. We've got a dog called Manny, so I'm absolutely delighted to answer this. He's named after Manny from the Stone Roses, by the way, not Manny. Okay. He's Manny. But yeah, red sauce every time. I'm a vegetarian, so it's a Linda McCartney sausage butty for me with red sauce.
Fair enough. This is one for you, and this is a really interesting question. And I think when we done the interview with you and your dad back in 2019, I think we touched upon this a little bit, but your dad was present. So I think maybe you can answer this a little bit more, maybe a bit more feel free.
You can still see this,
He's still watching. Hello, Mr. Harvey. Hello.
He has got an iPhone.
So Helen on Instagram, she says, can you ask Mel, was it difficult for her to keep supporting Everton in 1991 when Everton replaced her dad with Howard Kendall, despite the fact that her dad stayed on as assistant? I think that's a really good question. Was that difficult for you?
Yes, it was. I was living in Glasgow at the time. I was at Glasgow University, and I remember getting a call to say what had happened, and it was awful. It was like there'd been a death in the family. I went home, and it was dreadful, absolutely dreadful, because we're Evertonians. My granddad's, both sides actually. My mum's parents, came over from Ireland. They lived in North Wales, but they were Evertonians. Obviously, my dad had always watched Everton as a kid.
It's more personal, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was really hard. It was horrible actually. Thinking back, it was awful. It was really, really sad. So yeah, it was hard. It was. It wasn't as hard. It got harder when he left the second time when Mike Walker came in and didn't keep. I know that was worse actually. He kind of froze him out and then didn't keep him on, and that I actually fell out of love with them a little bit more that time than the first time. I think I'm not going to sit here and say we had brilliant success when he was manager. I mean, we still did get to an FA Cup final and finish in the top 6 a couple of times. We give our right arm for that now.
Team.
Yeah,
it's a good team.
Yeah, and then obviously the European ban didn't help and players left. Obviously the two went to Rangers, which was a huge blow because they wanted to play in Europe.
I was brought up on your dad's team.
Yeah, there's a whole piece of work around that, isn't it? That you could talk about why all of that happens. But yeah, it was hard. I'm sure it was harder for him. But he's still an Everton fan. Still goes.
Yeah.
Still. I remember at his testimonial dinner the night before the match, one of the guests of honour was Philip Carter, and it was him that sacked him. And then I remember us going into the boardroom one day. We snuck in there. Oh God, it was really embarrassing, but we snuck in there. Well, we didn't. It was by accident. But anyway,
you're liable. It was an accident.
Me and Emma and my dad ended up in the boardroom before a game one day, and we walked in, and the first thing he said was, "I've not been in here since I got sacked." And we had a bit of a laugh about it, But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was harder for him, but no, it's football, isn't it? Show business, it's football, it's what happens. And, 1 minute you're flavour of the month and then the next minute you're not. And it's happened for whatever reason. People have got the right to have that opinion. And it was hard, but we're Evertonians. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Tommy has said, Thanks for getting Mel back on. You're welcome, Tommy. Can she name 3 players that she would pluck from the 1985 Everton team to put into this team now?
Oh God, I could name 10. So Neville Southall, straight away. Jordan Pickford's a great shot stopper, and he's clearly a decent keeper, and that penalty save a couple of weeks ago was one of the best moments. But yeah, I mean, Neville was 10 times the keeper he is, 10 times most keepers. Yes. So probably Kevin Ratcliffe. I'd like to see Kevin Ratcliffe playing alongside Branthwaite. I think that'd be a decent
special that.
Yeah, but we have real problems with fullbacks, don't we? At the moment, we've had a real problem, especially at right back. So I'd maybe sacrifice Kevin, which is quite difficult actually, and I'd say Gary Stevens. Wow. I think he'd be brilliant in the modern game.
Wow,
I think he'd be brilliant in the modern game because he was so athletic, so strong, so brave that I think in the modern game he'd really slot in well. And
this is such a hard question.
This is really hard now because I'm thinking about, because I mean, I think my favourite player from that team was Trevor Steven.
What a right hand side, yeah.
So that would be pretty special. And again, we struggle for right sided midfielders, haven't we? Mm-hmm. I feel really bad on the rest of them, but I think that's the 3 I'd go for.
We'll blame Tommy. He's put limitations on this.
I know, Tommy. Could you not have said 5 or 6? I mean, you'd want the whole team, wouldn't you? I reckon most of them would have adapted to the modern game pretty well, but I'd say Gary Stevens and Trevor Steven, I think the way they played, they would have fitted right into the modern game. Mm-hmm. They really would have.
I would love to see them in this modern game, that you said that.
I think those two would have been brilliant in this era.
No, this is a question, again, going back to Ndiaye, which you've covered a little bit, but Harry's saying, in his opinion, never mind holding on to Branthwaite next summer, I'm concerned that we're going to keep hold of Ndiaye. Have you been impressed with them so far? We touched upon that.
Yeah, I have been impressed, definitely. But it's still early days, isn't it? You know, we had a season last season with Branthwaite where he was our most consistent player. I can't think of any of the mistakes he made. He did make a few mistakes, of course he did. But I'd say for such a young man as well, he was probably our most consistent player last season. So I think do we not all think that's a little bit inevitable that we will lose him, sadly? But yeah, I've been really impressed by Ndiaye. I've been really impressed by him as a player and as a person. He's clearly popular with the squad as well. But let's give it a bit more time to see. You know, we've got some really tough games coming up. Let's see how he performs in those ones.
When we signed him, I got Hal from the Sheffield United Way, their podcast, on just to talk about him. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting what you're saying now. It's giving me a bit of deja vu. He said he's a player who thrives on being a fan favourite.
Yeah,
that when the Sheffield United fans sung his name, they got an extra 5%. Yeah. You said there, you can see he's adapting to that and loving it. 2 more questions, if you don't mind, and then we'll let you get back to the real world. EFC Picks has said, despite what you both think should happen, what do you think will happen this Saturday? Does Michael Keane play or Jared Branthwaite?
Oh, I think Branthwaite plays, doesn't he? I think so. I mean, I know Sean Dyche has clearly got a soft spot for Keane. And he has been all right the last couple of games, and he played very well on Saturday, and he scored a super goal. But I think against Fulham, I think their forward line, you know, I think we need somebody who's got a little bit more pace and a little bit more mobility. So I'd be very surprised if Branthwaite didn't come back in. I've got to be honest.
I'm with you 100%. I can see why EFC picks he or she. I can see why they've asked the question because
totally.
There's a bit of there's the potential for Michael Keane to stay in, but I'm with you. I would bring the better players have to play. Yeah,
and we you know we're talking before about that 85 team, and you'd get Alan Harper coming in and Kevin Richardson coming in to cover for injured players from time to time. And they'd have a brilliant game. They never, ever let us down. But the next game, if the person they were replaced was fit, Howard put them back in. And that's good management. That's ruthless, good management.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the last question is from Joe T. He's asking you to put your neck on the line a little bit here. And I don't know whether you can or can't. So you can sit on the fence if you want. So he said, I really enjoyed Mel on your Goodison Park show. How is she feeling now the end for Goodison as near? We've touched upon that. Can she give us any spoilers on the rumours of the 1985 reunion event? And I think that's come from been some comments from Graham Sharp in relation to there might be a 1985 reunion happening, so people are grasping onto that. Have you heard anything?
I've heard absolutely nothing, and I'm genuinely not saying that. I've heard absolutely nothing.
It would be great, wouldn't it?
Well, it would, but then, you know, one of the most important people's not going to be there, and that's Howard Kendall, and that would be really hard and sad.
Would Lily maybe attend, and it'd be a nice moment?
Yeah, I just think that it goes without saying that as good a team as it was, and they were all great players, and they were all great players. It was his nous and his know-how and his ability to find players and sign the right players and get the best out of them that made them the team that they were. And that brilliant ability to produce a winning team, and there was something about his management that really did that with that team. And I think it would be really, really sad. So it's not really a reunion because he's not going to be there. But I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Going back to putting aside the fact that would be really sad and would be a gaping hole. If the players were to come back to do that, I think it would be brilliant. I think people would love to see it. I think there's other players from other eras that have graced Goodison Park who should be there as well. There's a lot of players who are still with us who brought great joy to a lot of people at Goodison Park. But I genuinely have got no idea. And I'd probably tell you if I did, because I'm not very good at that sort of thing. So.
Okay, there you go. We
I'm really
know if you
sorry.
did.
As soon as I know, I'll text you.
Look, my personal opinion is the club absolutely have to do something.
I think they will, won't
the
they?
40-year anniversary in April of it.
Well, the two, again, you're talking about all things coming together at the right time.
Yeah.
Again, that's I mean, I keep, my eyes just keep getting drawn to that picture you've got on the wall there of Kevin Ratcliffe. And I think, you know, the timing is unbelievable, isn't it? That it happens to coincide. You know, Everton clearly haven't planned that. There's no way anyone's that good. But so you feel like there must be something. I just hope if there is, it's meaningful. It's something that's accessible. I wouldn't like to just see some sort of really expensive dinner that only certain people could afford to go to. I think that would be wrong. I think that it should be something that can be enjoyed by the people who want to enjoy it and not just people who can afford it. And I think it wouldn't surprise me if there's something planned, but I genuinely don't know.
Okay. And again, this is my opinion, not yours. And I've said this on the podcast before. The last game at Goodison Park, when you see how Tottenham left White Hart Lane and West Ham left Upton Park and they got the legends back, I think that's also a good time to see some ex-players and ex-managers and really pay tribute to the guys who've been at Goodison. Yeah,
definitely. As I say, there's some people who've brought a huge amount of joy to people. There's a lot of players who've brought us a huge amount of heartache as well. They can stay away. But yeah,
Nick Barmby is not invited.
No, absolutely not. I could name quite a few. But no, it's, yeah, I mean, look, the most important thing this season is we have a good season. And we make people happy with the football. But it's a huge moment. It's a huge, huge moment. But there's other people I'd like to see get honoured, you know, who's made the grass look so great for so many years, you know, who's kept the place going, you know, hopefully the staff who've worked there over the years. You know, it was very, very sad. The legendary groundsman, Dougie Rose, we lost him last year. You know, I'd like to think if he'd still been alive, he would be being asked to something like that. There's a lot of people who've made Goodison the place that it is. It's not great at the moment, let's be honest, but in its heyday, it was one of the best stadiums, not just in the country, in Europe, and has seen some really beautiful moments. And let's say thanks to everyone who's done that. Yeah,
I'm with you. We get one chance at this. There's only one chance at doing this, so get it right. I just want to get you. It's a little shout out, not a shout out as such, but we talked about the 1985 team there. You've talked about on previous podcasts that you've seen some of those players be coming through the old Pontons League and the reserves when your dad was there and things. But happy 65th birthday to friend of the show, Mr. Kevin Sheedy. Was he a really good player when you were there watching?
Brilliant, wasn't he? I mean, talk about Trevor Stephen. I mean, Kevin was amazing, wasn't he? I saw a clip from the Howard's Way film yesterday when he recreated the taking of the 2 free kicks.
Brilliant.
He was brilliant. There used to be something, you know, when he got the ball and you could see if he was going to have a chance for a shot, he was great. You know, one of my huge frustrations with teams is always how poor Everton are these days at set pieces, but he was brilliant. That left foot was great, wasn't it? It was really good. So, yeah, happy birthday, Sheeds. Have a great celebration. You brought a lot of people a lot of joy. So enjoy it.
But I think that's a really nice way to end the podcast. I've got a couple of plugs that I want to do before we leave. But before we do, Mel, I just want to thank you again for coming on Across the Park podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'm going to get you back on. You know, we're not done yet. Thanks, guys, for watching this week's episodes of Across the Park podcast. Thank you so much to that amazing guest, Mel, for coming back on and joining us to talk about a good week for Everton Football Club. I've got a couple more plugs to do, and then you can get back to your tea and your coffee. Merseyside derby for the women is coming up in November at Goodison Park. We're talking about chances to get to Goodison Park. The men have a season ticket waiting list. The cup games sell out. If you've got someone in your family, young or old, that you want to take to Goodison for the photos, there's no better time to get down there. The women were really unlucky yesterday against Leicester, a 1-0 loss, and they're having a bit of a bad time at the minute. So for them to run out at Goodison and have a big crowd there would be great. Tickets are on sale at evertonfc.com. I'll be there with my two little ones. My little one's only 3, the littlest one. She may not last the entire game, but what I'm going to get from it is some amazing photos, and she'll be able to say in the future as she watched the Merseyside derby. So get over there for that. We have Julie Clark from the Fan Advisory Board coming on the show tomorrow to talk about a potential meeting with new owners. And one of the topics will be the rumoured increase of season ticket prices. So we're going to be talking to Julie about that. If you don't know who Julie is, she's the one who sat behind Richard Masters with the Everton jumper in the court. Absolutely brilliant. We've got her coming on. And just away from the football, we haven't been asked to do this, but we want to mention Zoe's Place. Zoe's Place is going through a bit of a tough time. It's an institute in Liverpool which cares for children with life-limiting and life-threatening injuries. They have to raise £6 million by the end of October. If you Google Zoe's Place and go onto their link, there's a Just Given page on there. Weave threw a few quid in there. If you can, if possible, please do. I own 2 little ones. I can't think of having to have a place like that. But to know it's there, it's just a safety net. So we've threw a few quid in, and all the best. We know a few people over there that's always Place. All the best to you guys as well. But that is me done and dusted for today. What a nice show with Mel Harvey. Thanks for joining us again, Mel. Up the Toffees.